This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and this year we're saying thank you, therapists. BetterHelp therapists have helped over 5 million people worldwide on their mental health journeys. That's millions of stories, millions of journeys, and behind every one is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone take a step forward. Moments in therapy, like the right question, a safe space to cry, or a small win, can change lives. This World Mental Health Day, BetterHelp is honoring those connections and the therapists who make them possible, while showing how easy it is to get guidance from a licensed therapist online with BetterHelp. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This World Mental Health Day, we're celebrating the therapists who've helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. We'll see about this one. Another noon game. Washington at Michigan, noon on Fox. This game could end up being a playoff elimination game for both programs. So neither Washington nor Michigan are ranked right now. I will say the Huskies are in my personal top 25 at PFF.com. This game still holds huge playoff implications for both programs. Washington is 5-1 this season. Their only loss came to the number one team in the country in Ohio State. A loss for Washington in this game wouldn't outright kill their playoff hopes, but it would make them really unlikely considering Washington still has Illinois and Oregon left on its schedule. For Michigan, a loss in this game would pretty much kill those playoff hopes because Michigan's already lost to USC and Oklahoma this year. Like I mentioned before, no 9-3 teams last year made the college football playoff. I doubt a 9-3 team this year will make the college football playoff. So the Wolverines essentially cannot lose another game if they want to make the 12-team field. This is a rematch of the 2023 national title game, and it could essentially be a playoff eliminator for whoever loses this game.
And a rematch of last year's game in Washington where the Huskies won, I believe it was 24-14. I think you're right. Michigan at 9-3. If a 9-3 team is going to make it, it's probably going to be an SEC team with an absolutely loaded schedule, because there's a couple of those teams playing ranked games every single week, right? So it would be someone like that. But I think a 9-3 Michigan team, there's just not enough great wins. You look at their wins right now. New Mexico, Central Michigan, Nebraska's solid, right? I mean, okay, cool. And Wisconsin's not great. So I don't know that there's enough wins to overcome 9-3. And then
maybe Ohio State, though. If they beat Ohio State again, maybe that'll be enough.
Maybe. But even then, there's going to be a balance, and the full resume still matters here, right? And then Washington, I think they're in the midst of their biggest 2 weeks of the season. They get they get Michigan this week, then they get Illinois right after. If they come out winning both of those games somehow, and Illinois, I believe they get it home. Yes, they do. If you're talking about that now, then you're going, there's a road to 10-2 here. Because they do play Oregon later in the year. But you get through Michigan and Illinois, and we start talking about Washington as a dark horse playoff team, especially with their quarterback, the way he's playing. So this is for the Big Ten standings, for at-large consideration, especially with some other games that we have going this week. This is a massive, massive game that I think may get put on the back burner because it's not one of the ranked games, but it's very, very important to both of these teams.
I mean, Michigan was ranked top 15 last week, and they fell out after losing to USC, obviously. And like I said, I would rank Washington right now, too. So, I mean, this very well could have been a ranked game. I think both these teams are easily top 30 or so teams in college football right now. You have the Michigan offense in this game, Dalton. What should we know with Bryce Underwood and, of course, that Michigan ground game against Washington?
So the big question, and Sharon Moore yesterday, as of this recording, today is Tuesday, and as of yesterday, he said that he thinks Justice Haynes is questionable. That's huge because you could feel last week when Justice Haynes got hurt against USC, the offense really just sputtered immediately. He's been one of the best backs in the country. Michigan wants to run the football. Bryce Underwood, the true freshman, and the receivers on the outside really haven't gotten it fully firing on all cylinders in the passing game, right? Which can be expected. You still, as talented as Underwood is, they've got it. He's a true freshman quarterback, and it's not a great receiving core when you talk about really Donovan McCulley, a former quarterback, has been their most consistent guy. Now, as far as Washington Washington goes, had a slow start this year in run defense, but I think they've gotten better in recent weeks. You look at their last few games, their last 4 games. So since week 3, they're 31st in the country in run defense grade, the 13th in yards per carry allowed, they're 11th in explosive run rate allowed. That includes a game against Ohio State where they gave up somewhere around 150, 160 rushing yards, but it wasn't like they got mauled over. So I think what you're going to have here is if Haynes is playing, then you've got a different task. If he's not, you start to like the advantage, coming from Washington's side here in run defense. And I think the key guys are going to be some of these second-level guys. Have you heard this thing about this linebacking core this year with Washington? So first, they had Tariq Alukta, the transfer from Washington State, who played 3 games and then got hurt, I think ironically, against Washington State. He's out for the year. You've got, where's my names here? You've got Devin Bryant, who's the constant, right? Then you got this weird situation. Jacob Manu, who Jed Fish had at Arizona. He's got this weird eligibility thing going on where they're trying to keep his red shirt because he got hurt after playing 4 games last year. They're trying to keep his red shirt this year. So he has played in 2 games this year against Ohio State and Maryland. He has sat in the other ones, even though he's healthy. And it's like Jed Fish is trying to pick, like, hey, where can I use my guy in the biggest spots? And maybe this is one of them because he's trying to keep him at just playing 4 games to keep the red shirt, which is wild when you consider where we're at now with these red shirts in this 4-game thing. So now it's like there's a suspense of Haynes playing on one side. There's Jacob Manu. There's a suspense of is he playing on the other side? And Jed Fish said they'll decide later in the week. And then you've got another linebacker, a transfer from UCF, X-Ray Alexander, who's played really well also. And then you've got Alex McLaughlin as safety, who's a big-time factor there. You just got so many weird unknown dimensions on a Tuesday afternoon right now thinking about this matchup, Michigan's run game versus Washington's run defense. But if they're fully loaded and Manu is playing, that is another big factor because he's a really solid run defender, a veteran guy that Fish knew from Arizona, and he stayed at Arizona last year but then transferred over this year. But I mean, it's obvious that when you play Michigan, you got to stop the run. So the suspense of Haynes, the suspense of Manu, and then just both teams going out there and executing because Michigan's their passing game, you get them behind the chains, it's not great. Yep. And I know Underwood's the big flashy name and the true freshman, highly touted and all that, but it hasn't been great. There's not enough weapons for this team to drop back and throw the football. They have to win with the run game. If they can't do it, with or without Haynes, they're going to have a big problem.
I'm looking at Washington's offense. A lot of people in the chat are shouting out Damon Williams, who is just
animal.
Oh, dude, he's awesome. He's one of the most electric quarterbacks that we have in all of college football. So really, I'm looking at whether or not Michigan can contain Damon Williams in this game. Damon Williams, a true sophomore, 89.5 PFF grade this year, 7th among all quarterbacks in the country. He's 3rd in the nation in completion rate, 7 big-time throws, no turnover-worthy plays so far, 473 rushing yards. The only quarterback in the Power 4 who has more than him is Taylon Green of Arkansas. He's only 5'11". His game, Dalton, when I was watching his tape a couple days ago, preparing for this preview, it's very reminiscent of Kyler Murray, honestly. I'm not saying he's going to be the number 1 overall pick or a Heisman Trophy winner, maybe, the way he's playing right now, maybe. But I am saying that's how electric he is, getting outside of the pocket, scrambling when he needs to. The running style is, of course, very similar to Kyler Murray, too. Has a really good arm, like Kyler Murray, despite being undersized, too. I love watching Damon Williams, man. This guy is a stud for Washington. I will say, though, Michigan has the 5th best run defense grade in college football this year at 92.7. But Michigan has had some issues with mobile quarterbacks this year. John Mateer in Oklahoma's win over Michigan in week 2 of this year, he ran for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. Angel Flores from Central Michigan ran for 71 yards against the Wolverines as well. So Michigan's ability to keep Damon Williams and Jonah Coleman, their star running back for Washington too, in check in the ground game will be massive in Michigan's chances to win this game. You cannot let Damon Williams beat you with his legs first, because if he does that and you stack the box on him, all of a sudden go over the top to Denzel Boston, one of the best receivers in the country, maybe a first-round pick in this draft. There are some studs that Michigan has to deal with on this Washington offense, and it all starts with the true sophomore quarterback in Damon Williams.
The difference for Washington's offense this year really is twofold, and they both have to do with Williams' talents. A, the obvious contrast, and they were using him in kind of a wildcat role early last year for Will Rogers, because Will Rogers last year was not a runner at all, and Williams is an electric runner. It's that, and it's the fact that they can get vertical down the field this year. He's been excellent throwing the football down the field, and the fact that he is such a downfield passer and yet does not have a turnover-worthy play yet as a passer this year, that's ridiculous stuff from Williams. He can absolutely take games over. What was it, 530-something yards of offense last week for him against Rutgers? I mean, just ridiculous. Probably won't have that level on Michigan, but those are the things that he's capable of, and they scored 38 on Rutgers last week with Jonah Coleman having a very quiet day. Coleman's always a big factor in this offense, especially in a game like this where he can be such a physical runner, one of the most physical runners in the country. So you do wonder. Ohio State, when they played Washington, they basically said, run and passing game. We will not let DeMond run the football. We're not going to do it. He had 7 carries for 18 yards. They played a little extra wide on the defensive line, and you could see when they were rushing the passer, they made a point to work it outside in and have a spy at all times. Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caden Curry was a big factor in all of that too. Is Wink Martindale, who we know to be such a heavy blitzer, is he going to send pressure at him and give him those chances to break the pocket, or is it going to be a little bit more conservative? Because the blitz hurt him. It hurt him last week against Jaden Maiava, right? And Maiava threw right over the top of it. Williams is willing to stand in the pocket and chuck it down the seams, or he's got an even better ability than Maiava to break outside the pocket and run. He's an extremely dangerous runner. So, again, I think Martindale has to make that choice. Does he make the same one Matt Patricia did and keep him in the pocket, or do we come after him and try to rush him?
Ultimately, Dalton, in a game that could be a playoff eliminator for both programs and a rematch of the national title game 2 years ago, who's going to win between Washington and Michigan?
I got to be honest with you. We don't know, as we're recording this, if Justice Haynes is playing. This Michigan offense, I don't trust it very much. When you look at the games that they have played, and now they ran all over Nebraska. They put up 30 on Nebraska, and that's a pretty bad run defense. We've gone over that. But they did not look good on offense against Oklahoma. Great defense, admittedly, better than Washington's. They didn't look great on offense against Wisconsin. They beat them 24-10, and some of those points came kind of late in that game. That was kind of ugly. And then last week, I know Haynes got hurt, but USC's defense is not great. We'll go over that later. And yet they only scored 13 on USC, and really the last 7 of that was just a bomb touchdown where USC had one bust in coverage. I don't know that if Washington gets ahead in this game that Michigan can come back with their passing game. I actually kind of like the Huskies in this game. I just think there's more offensive capability. And this Michigan defense this year, it is very good. I don't think it's last year's unit. And this Washington team with Will Rogers playing quarterback, Jed Fish found a way around it and beat this team last year. I don't know that Michigan makes up that gap. And the only reason I hesitate on it at all is because it's at Michigan in Ann Arbor in the Big House this time. But I'm going to take the Huskies 27-23. I think Williams goes in there and gets it done and proves to us he's a star.
I have it 27-24. But for, third straight game now, I'm disagreeing with you. I have Michigan winning this game.
It is that kind of slate,
It
man.
is an incredible slate of college football. I love this. I think the Huskies have a below-average run defense. I'm hoping Justice Haynes plays in this game, because if he doesn't, then all of a sudden I think Washington probably will win the game. But I think if Haynes does play, Michigan could have a huge advantage with their run game over Washington's run defense. And I think Michigan's defense is good enough to contain DeMond Williams as a runner, and also is at Michigan too. In that big house, and they'll play a big advantage for Michigan too. So I think it'll be enough for Michigan to pull out the home victory. But it should be an awesome ball game too.
And the one other thing too that I would worry about for Washington is they have a little bit of a habit of getting off to slow starts. We saw that. We've seen it for a couple of games now. They need to come out ready a little bit, because it seems like when Williams gets somewhere halfway through the second quarter or into the second half, when he gets in a groove, boy, he's flying. I mean, this offense is electric. But they need to get off to a better start in the first quarter. If they can't do that and they go 3 and out the first couple drives and they let Michigan control possession, they might have an issue early, but we're going to see. We're going to find out. I think that should be an emphasis for Jed Fish. They need to get off to a better start in this game.
Drake Holiday in the chat saying, Max is still my boy, but I'm on Team Dalton today with all these picks.
Hey,
there you go.
Some no ball,
We'll go to Arizona State later on in the show. We'll see. Big game for ASU this week.
A huge game. We getting Sam Levitt back? Do we have word on that?
We'll see. We'll talk about that later on.
Maybe we'll know in the next hour.
Show.